All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of We're Screwed. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr. With me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash, and Andy Andrews. Now, I came up with this cool idea for the show. Here's the new format. I think y'all might dig this. Instead of just having one long ass show where we're just going on and on about one topic, I thought it might be cool for each of us to have our own topic in the show, right? So here's the format. It's gonna be a half hour per topic. Each one of us has a topic that we want to talk about, but we don't know what it is. Like, we know what it is, but they don't know what it is, if that makes sense. Why do you keep flipping your camera? You're so distracted. So, here's the deal. You introduce your topic, then you get 10 minutes to talk about it. When the 10 minutes is up, Andy is going to blow his horn. Go ahead, Andy, blow that sumbitch so everybody knows what it sounds like. He's got this cup that blows the horn. We decided to do that because Andy's really good at blowing. So he's going to blow the horn to let us know when our time is up, and then the next person will go. So then they'll get 10 minutes to talk about that topic. Then the horn will sound again, and then the last person will get 10 minutes, and it'll be the next person's topic. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. So I'm going to start off tonight. We're going to talk politics for my segment because I love politics. It's election season. So my topic is about this whole thing about Biden stepping down, Kamala taking over, and what's actually going on. So are you guys ready for the time? Yes? Thumbs up? Okay, time starts now. Okay, I want to talk mainly here to the Democrats that are watching, because the Republicans are all kind of on the same page here. Doesn't it concern y'all that what has essentially just happened is a soft coup? They blackmailed President Biden. They blackmailed a president of the United States into stepping down. Now, they tried to get him to step down over and over and over again. They kept saying he has a big decision to make. He has a big decision to make. And he kept making that big decision. He kept saying, hey, I ain't running. Or I am running, rather. I ain't stepping down. Stop fucking asking me, right? He even did it to a point to where that's where that famous bullseye quote that everybody was talking about during the assassination attempt, where he said, hey, I'm running. Stop talking about it. Let's put Trump in the bullseye. In other words, focus on Trump. I'm running, right? He answered over and over and over again. They kept pressuring him. Well, then come to find out they made a threat. Okay, this is breaking news when I'm telling it. Probably by the time it airs, it won't be breaking news anymore. You already know. But they made a threat. They threatened that they were going to use the 25th Amendment to remove him from office if he did not step down. So they had already threatened to air all his dirty laundry, right? All the criminal stuff that he's done. They threatened, we're going to air all that. And he didn't give a shit because he's like, dude, I'm old as hell. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Everybody already knows I'm a crook. So they threatened him with the 25th Amendment that if he did not step down, they were going to remove him from office. So you had a primary. Okay, that's an election. That's the time when anybody that wanted to run should have ran against him. But the Democrats iced everybody out. They wouldn't let anybody run. That's why RFK Jr. ended up going independent, because he couldn't even get on the damn ballot, okay, because of the Democrats. They just completely iced him out. So he ended up going independent. So they stopped anybody from running against him, putting up any kind of real challenge. There was one guy that actually tried to challenge, but he didn't get anywhere either. That's the time when this should have happened. Instead, all of you voted for Biden. So like 150,000 people or something voted for Biden in the primary. So I guess those votes just don't count, right? Like, it doesn't matter that you guys voted and they blackmailed the guy you voted for to get him to step down. That's okay with you. You are the party that's supposed to be protecting democracy from evil Trump. Remember? You kept calling him a dictator, kept saying he was going to destroy democracy. Your party is actually destroying democracy. This is a coup. These people blackmailed a sitting president to get him to step down. That's fucked up. That shouldn't happen in America. So what I want to know from the Democrats, leave it in the comment section when you watch this video. Does that bother you? Or are you just cool with it because Biden's old and decrepit? That's a serious question. Because this is getting to be like worse than like dictatorship. This is like a banana republic, third world shithole kind of thing that's going on here. They are literally like communist Russia just selecting the candidate at this point. You realize Kamala now has said she has enough delegates for the nomination. Okay? She actually ran for president before. You know that Kamala never, not once, got a single delegate ever earned. When she ran, she dropped out before the first election even took place, before the first primary election even took place. She has earned a grand total of actually 0 delegates. Nobody's ever voted for that woman. She was selected as vice president by Biden because he needed a black woman, basically. And I'm not talking shit, he said it himself. That was his words, that he was going to choose a black woman because he knew he had to choose a black woman, so he chose Kamala. Okay? So he chose her. She earned nothing. When she was president, or vice president rather, might as well have been president, shit, because Biden wasn't doing a job. Somebody was. Who was it? Was it her? He put her in charge of the border. Remember that? Made her the border czar. You notice how everything with Democrats is a czar now? Like, where does czar come from? That's communist Russia, right? Yeah. He made her the border czar. He put her in charge of the border. Look at the border. Look what happened there. And this gets especially dangerous because a lot of Republicans are celebrating right now. Because Kamala, in some ways, is worse than Biden as far as electability. So they're thinking, we got this thing in the bag. And yes, according to every projection, every poll out there, Trump is going to win in a landslide. We're talking 330 plus electoral votes, right? Guaranteed. But here's the problem. The Democrats cheat, and you know they do. 16 million illegal immigrants have come across that border. That's the estimate. And that's a low estimate. That's just based on what they think happened. That's not counting all the people they don't even know about that crossed, okay? So at least 16 million people crossed over illegally. And they're going to be using those people for fake ballots, for fake votes. Here's how it works. They have been registering these people to vote. Anytime they go into social services to get food stamps, to get any kind of assistance, when they sign the paperwork to get into hotels and stuff like that, that the government puts them up in while they're waiting for hearings, all of that, when they go to the DMV to get an ID, they are registered to vote. Okay, they have the option to register to vote. And they're telling these people, go ahead and register to vote. Now, the worry isn't that these illegals are actually going to go to the polls and try to vote. That's not the worry. But what happens is if you have them as registered voters on the voting rolls, then they can fill out ballots in their name and stuff them in the ballot box. That's what they did in 2020. We all saw the videos, just box after box after box going into the drop boxes and being run through the machine over and over and over again. Same ballots, right? They're going to do that again. But now they've got 16 million extra votes that aren't even from American citizens, of people that are registered to vote but aren't going to show up to vote, because they know if they show up to vote and they get caught, their ass is going to get booted out of the country. But they were told, just register and don't worry about it. So that's what a lot of them did. So there's millions of extra votes out there, extra ballots, people that are registered that the Democrats are going to be filling out for Kamala and shoving in the box. Okay? So that is a real concern and a real worry. So you need to really watch the election carefully, watch the election results carefully, and watch the polls, and understand that Trump is up in almost every state, other than the actual safe states for Democrats. We're talking like Washington, Oregon, Illinois, California. Let's see. Maine is kind of a toss-up. New York is close, actually, believe it or not, according to the polls, but that's probably going to go Democrat. Those states are the main Democrat states, probably Colorado as well. But if you're losing Georgia, North Carolina, any of the Rust Belt, we're talking Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, any of those go Democrat, you know there's fuckery about, that there's cheating going on, because Trump is up by 5 or more in those states. And a lot of those states, he's up in 10 points. Okay? And they're completely dark red, safe territory. So pay attention, because I guarantee you they're going to cheat, because everything is on the line. Because they know that if they lose, their asses are going to jail, a lot of them, because of the shit that they've done, that there's evidence of. The only reason they're not in jail now is because they stole the election last time, And they know damn well that the judges ain't going to do nothing because they're in control. That's why. But the reality, am I almost out of time here? I'm getting close. I'm waiting for that horn. But the situation here is watch the election carefully. Know what we're up against here. And when they cheat, that's how they're doing it. So check those extra ballots and actually check and make sure those people are actual American citizens. Because I guarantee you'll find a hell of a lot of them aren't. So that's my topic, is Kamala stepping down, or Biden stepping down, Kamala stepping up into that position. Soft coup. They completely screwed the Democrat voters. They basically blackmailed an American sitting president into dropping out of the race that he didn't want to drop out of. He said over and over and over again he wanted to run. Over and over again, he said, I'm running. He ran in the primary. He won the damn thing. He earned the delegates, whether you like him or not, and I don't. I can't stand that son of a bitch. But he won the primary, and he should be the Democrat nominee. And don't think I'm only doing that because he's easy to beat, because Kamala's actually easier to beat than Biden. Biden polls better than she does in a lot of those states that are important, like the Rust Belt states. So it's not about winning the election, because Trump's going to beat Kamala even worse than he would have beaten Biden. But it's about what's fair. There was an election. He won the damn thing, fair and square. You can't screw him out like that. That's some crazy shit. And you Democrats need to pay attention. They did it to Bernie, and y'all were all pissed off, but you didn't do shit about it. You kept voting for him. Now they've done it to Biden, and they're going to keep doing it. Is it time? Blow that horn. Is it it? Next guy.
So let me make sure I can tell here what I got going on. Okay. I agree with you. It kind of upset me to think that, I mean, it's getting pretty bad because they did this. I mean, look at all the things they've done to the Republican Party, especially Trump. I mean, not just Trump, but you're looking at people that went on to the Supreme Court that were Republican or conservative. All the things, the money spent, all the just time spent on trying to get Trump out, trying to get these other people out, trying to get senators out, congressmen, everything else, all this time spent. And the whole time you have a president in there that is, when Trump was in office, that was trying to actually make things better, and they were better. No matter who you are or what party you like or who you like or who you don't like, facts are facts, and that's the way it is. But now they're destroying themselves. That's what's crazy. Or they're starting to do these illegal things to their own party. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. I mean, here was Biden. I thought he should step down for sure. But the thing is, they made the man. They blackmailed him. And all this time, they, up until what? The debate, they were all about, oh, he is sane. He is, he's not old. He's not this. He's not that. And then as soon as they had a debate, he didn't do that well. All of a sudden now, exactly what we have all been saying from the get-go, now all that is true. Now they agree with people, stuff like that. But, I saw roughly, I'm going to say probably about a week after the presidential debate, I was cut on my laptop at work, and the first thing, news stories pop up, and the first one that popped up was Kamala Harris. If she was running for president, like wherever they got these supposed polls at, that she would be, that if she was running at that point in time, she would be way ahead of Trump, is what this said. And I was like, oh boy, and I told one of my coworkers at that point in time, I said, watch and see if she doesn't go on the ballot before it's over with. And we were all talking about that. Even you were saying that, Hershey, about, by the time the convention came, that they would either have somebody else or they would do it right then and there, but they didn't want to do that. The convention, they didn't want to do it at the Democratic convention because could you imagine what that would have been all about? That would have just ruined, half of their um, time there at the convention. But I just do not understand how anybody could be okay with what they just did. I don't understand how her track record, if you're looking at it, when she was a judge, she was letting people out that should have been kept in prison and putting people in prison that shouldn't have gotten prison time for what little bit they did. And then you turn around and you see people for marijuana and stuff like that. Now it's practically legal everywhere. And she was giving these people max sentences and stuff like that for a little bit of nothing. And, now they're trying to say because she is a woman, I read this today, that because she is a woman, we are not allowed to bring up any kind of dirty stuff on her because she's female. That's what they said. And I'm like, they're going every angle they can. And I'm sorry. I just don't think she has the education. I don't think she has the smarts for it. I think that they're just looking for another puppet. We all of us know that Biden's never ran the country since he's been president. He has never ran it. And this is just another, MSN just put a thing out, said now something about, they didn't quite come out and say that Obama was the one, partially running the country, if not all of it, while Biden's been in. But they said, what does this do with Biden's, they said, now that Biden has stepped down and Kamala has stepped up, what does this say for Barack Obama's future with, being a influence at the White House? And I'm like, wow. They pretty much almost said it right there. But I heard the best quote the other day. Somebody said, well, they've gotten rid of the pee pads and now they're bringing in the knee pads. I heard that and I was like, oh, but the thing is, all you have to do is pull up almost anything that she has been a speaker of and just listen to her. She is definitely it has nothing to do with her being black. It has nothing with her being a woman. Outside of Hillary Clinton, if there would have been another woman like Sarah Palin or something like that would have ran for president, I would have definitely given consideration. So there's your woman part of it. As in black part of it, I think if Carlson would have kept running, man, I might have very much voted for him. So it has nothing to do with that, but that's what they want to use. They want to use all of that against us. Anybody that doesn't support Harris. And then on top of that, the whole illegal thing, man, they pretty much tried. I think it was in DC. I know DC was one of them that was trying to say that they wanted to give anybody that was over here that had a state of visa the opportunity to vote, even if they weren't a citizen yet. That was the first thing they wanted to vote. It didn't even make it, I don't even think, to the House. I think they kind of laughed it right out. And I could be wrong at the way that's stated, but I know that they wanted to let illegals into the situation to be able to vote. And you're dead nuts on. That's exactly what they're going to do, man. They're going to use these guys they're going to use them to, mail in ballots. And that's how they're going to win, man, if they don't do something about it. I had friends in Georgia, man, with the last election that worked for the Republican Party, as in counting votes. They're part of the thing down in Atlanta. And they were shoved out, man. They were told no. They had to, they weren't allowed, because that's the whole point of having them there, is to not only count the votes themselves, but also to look over the other people around them. And they wouldn't allow it. So they've done it once, man. It wouldn't be, that hard for them to do it again. They need to do something about this before it happens. But I'm done. So to the next.
One thing I would say real quick, she was a DA. Yeah, not a judge, a DA. And for the woman thing, Tulsi
My
Gabbard.
apology.
Tulsi Gabbard. I would vote for Tulsi Gabbard like
Same.
that. She is amazing. Okay, old boy, your turn.
Thank you, guys. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent voter. I listen to both sides of it. And just so everybody knows, Robert Kennedy's not leaving this.
Go ahead. I'm fucking with you.
So Robert Kennedy isn't getting out of the race. He already said no. So they're pissed off about that. They thought he was going to get out. He said no today. So he's still going to be a big outcome in this race. He thinks he's going to win. I know he's not. But he's going to cause votes. He said it. Kamara has no chance. He said, and he can challenge this now because he was the runner-up in the Democratic Party. He was to Joe Biden. He does have a point. He was the second in the ballots. He got more delegates. And in reality, he did. He earned them. She didn't. Now, here's the problem I have. Do you realize Obama still hasn't given her the nod yet, right? I'm going to tell you, we have a month still. She ain't going to be the only one running. They might have gave her all the delegates, but there's rumors that he's still not. You didn't see he still hasn't jumped to endorse her yet. Pelosi has, Schumer has, and they're trying to make this a big deal. Okay, this is what I'm going to say to you, and I'm not trying to be mean. Kamala Harris is the vice president for 3.5 years. What's happened? It's going to be the same thing as it was while she was vice president. And let's not forget about her debates. They're not good. Trump, the only thing I will say this is Trump he wants to debate her. He's already saying 2 or 3 times. And then the one guy, he's the vice president that we got to talk about that in a little bit. The guy who's going to be his running mate for now, I think is going to be, and there's another, we'll get to that in a little bit. I think that Kamala Harris is going to be a closer race than what you think. And I'm telling you right now, 3 of the polls have him beating Trump. I've listened to it already. Out of the 13 polls, Trump's losing 3 or 4 of them. She's beating him by like 1% or something. But Joe Biden still was beating him. By it was like 7-5 or something. And he was still doing better. So my personal opinion is they're going to make Kamala Harris like she's so wonderful. But like everybody said, she was one of the worst vice presidents we've ever had. And it ain't going to be any different. It's just a clone of Joe Biden. And now they're saying that they just showed the 5 people she's going to try to get. I know one of them's from Hawaii, the guy from Pennsylvania. There's a guy from Minnesota and 2 other people. And what I heard is those are a mistake because they want her to pick a certain person and she's not going to do it. I think Trump. Like I was talking to my friend, I think it's going to be closer than what people think. I think Trump's going to win, but I will tell you this: they were not ready for Kamala Harris. This is a whole new game plan. She's going to get the delegates, bro. I even though I know the Republicans are talking about taking in the court. I don't know if you heard about that one. That the House representatives are saying it's illegal what they're doing. And I don't know, but you got to remember the Supreme Court right now. They're saying it like they were saying in the paper. They could turn this around and say he can't do this because he was supposed to do this earlier. So, I mean, I don't know how far that is. And we're threatening the 25th Amendment. The Republicans are threatening the 25th Amendment right now. And they're talking about if he can't run for president, he can't run this country anymore. And it's actually, you know what? If I'm looking at it this way, it's a smart move because they're going to make Kamala Harris be the president right now, and people are going to see how it's not going to go anywhere for 4 months. And I understand what they're doing. I think that's more realistic. I think that he's going to get out of the race because the Republicans are really pushing him out now. They want him out now, or they're going to use the 25th Amendment, or they're going to impeach him. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next week. It's going to be very interesting after the DRC, Democratic convention. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think Kamala Harris, it's going to be Trump. I'm sorry, I just know that's going to happen. But I think I think they're going to challenge this, and they're already talking about this. I don't know how good this is going to come out, but they're going to do something to throw a curveball into the Democrats' plans. And the Democrats, they threw a curveball on this one. A lot of people like her. I'm not. I'm from California. I know what she's done. Not interested in her at all. I don't know who she's going to pick as a vice president. They have no other options. They're making like this is a big deal. You know what? They should have done this back in June, and this they would. I think that she would have a better chance. Right now, I still don't think she's going to win. I said it. I think it's 60-40 Trump. I think it's going to be a little closer than what people think. But I also think, like you were saying, that I heard about the whole if you can't say anything because she's a woman. You know what? Trump's already doesn't care. Fox is already attacking her anyway, so it's not going to matter. They already said they laughed about that. But a lot of people are saying she didn't deserve this presidency. She didn't get those delegates. Joe Biden did, like James was saying, 155,000 people voted for him, not her. But the problem is a lot of these Democrats are saying it doesn't matter as long as it's not Trump. So they don't care anymore. So they're willing to give up their votes. But there is some Democrats who are saying they don't want her as running for president. So, I mean, so you're dictating who's running for president right now. The Democrats are. She did not win. And I understand she's the vice president. She should be the president right now. I agree with that because Joe Biden's done. He's going to talk tomorrow. I don't know how that's going to work. He's going to try to convince people that he's better from, I guess he's getting better from COVID. I guess I heard that. But she didn't win the nominee. They're going to hand it to her. And my personal opinion, I don't know how but I guess it's legal because it wasn't the Democrat. If it was like after the Democratic convention, I don't know what you could do then. But they're saying it's legal. I heard it's not. And I mean, I'm not going both sides. I'm just saying what I'm hearing. She did not get the nominee. So I don't understand how she can be picked like that. But I guess they said there's some loophole or something. I don't know. I don't know the whole way that works. I'm just saying the truth. And me being an independent, I'm going to tell you, this is going to keep going back and forth between both of these parties. If they put her in, I really do believe the Republicans are going to try to get him out sooner than later. And I get why they're doing it because she's going to have to run the country. And people are going to see what the truth is. Now, don't get me wrong. I think right now Trump's changing his strategy. I think that we may not even have a different person as a VP soon too with him. I think because of this whole situation now. So that being said, that's all. I don't have too much to say about because you guys have pretty much covered everything. But this is just becoming, to me, if we're from another country, I'm sitting here this is embarrassing we're looking bad. And I'm saying all together. Every week it's something new. Trump almost gets killed. Joe Biden gets COVID. Then he resigns. Even if he was an older man, whatever his issues were, every day for the last 23 days, we need to get him out. We need to get him out because we ain't gonna win. They just don't want Trump to win. And that's just their party. They don't care how it's done. Whoever is gonna run, as long as Trump doesn't win, that's all that matters. Even Joe Biden, he's gonna say that tomorrow. You watch tomorrow. I'm predicting he's gonna be talking. Everybody's gonna make his excuse why he got out. I'm not a fool. I'm not a Republican, but this stuff has got to stop. We have to do something about this. I'm not saying I'm on anybody's side, but do you realize where this is going? It's not going to be good. I'm really scared what's going to happen in November because win or lose, something bad's going to happen out of this. And I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't, but it's going to. People are going to flip because of this. If he wins, people are going to be mad. If he loses, people are going to be mad. What I think is going to happen is, and this is something some people are talking about, they're both not going to get enough delegates to win. And they both don't get 270, and then we have to have another runoff in another time. So go ahead. That being said, that's it.
All right, real quick fact checking here. There are no polls where Kamala Harris is winning. Trust me, I live on Real Clear Politics.
ABC has her winning. I'll show it to you.
I check the polls every day. Even the most Democrat-friendly internal polls have Trump winning. You might be talking about some wacko poll that says she might win the popular vote. I'm talking about actually winning the presidency, the electoral college vote. The most Democrat-friendly estimates have her losing and Trump winning, getting 317 electoral votes. Some of the middle of the line ones have him around 350 electoral votes. So trust me,
I'm talking about popular vote.
Yeah,
they
popular
had her
vote
49, 47.
Even the popular vote, Trump is at +1 in the average of all the polls. But electoral votes, man, there's no chance in hell that she wins. And there's also no chance in hell that he takes J.D. Vance off the ticket. J.D. Vance is a hell of a pick. And what's crazy about J.D. Vance is he wasn't my pick. My two picks were Vivek Ramaswamy, number 1, Tulsi Gabbard, number 2. That's what I wanted. One of those two. I'd have been super happy. I didn't even really know a whole lot about J.D. Vance. I knew he wrote Hillbilly Eulogy. I knew that, he was from Ohio and he was in Congress. I knew all that, but I'm super impressed with him now. I mean, listening to him speak and finding out more about him once he was picked, that's a hell of a good pick, and he's a good guy. There's no way Trump's getting him out. Okay, so who wants to go next? Either Andy or Old Boy can do their topic next. Well, somebody got to go. I'm seeing a problem with the.
I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it.
Idea of the show.
Well, here it is right now. Look, I'm going to get into this more. You might like him. The GOP doesn't, and that they don't. They're already talking about getting rid of him. And I've been reading about, and this is why. Because some of the stuff that he wants, you got to remember, he's not in line with them. Trump, I don't believe anything. Like I said, I don't believe. I read it. He's having second thoughts now. I don't think it's him. I think it's the GOP. Some of the GOP is just like what's going on with the House. That's what's been embarrassing for the last year and a half with them, with Matt. I didn't like McCarthy myself running, but that was just a mess. What all happened? It took him forever to get somebody else in there, and then they were still trying to get the new guy Stevens out. I don't like how the House went down this year, bro. And this is my topic about everything that's going on. I'm not going to talk about just Joe Biden. I'm going to talk about politics. The Republicans had the House. In my opinion, is it's got better now, but the first year was a mess, bro. It took them forever to get a speaker. Then they got rid of the speaker, and then they were trying to get rid of this speaker, but he's got better, whatever. But the point is, the Republicans are doing a better job in the last 6 months. Before it was a mess. I was like, man, we might not win. They might not win nothing. I gotta quit saying we because I'm not voting that way. It's just I'm used to saying it, but they have to get this shit straight, man, because they're really not really worried about. They are worried about the presidency. They're more worried about the Senate right now, because if they get one vote more, they can change that. They could do that quota of 51-49 and get the pack the courts. They could have done that now. But they could have done it the last 3 years. They haven't. Now that one guy got in trouble, that Democrat, so they have a seat open right now. He had to leave because he got convicted. So he's out. So they have an open seat now. It's 50-50, I think, right now. But it doesn't, because Mercham, whatever his name is, I'm horrible with names, guys, is kind of a Democrat, but he's probably going to end up being an independent down the line. A lady from Arizona is an independent now. She left the party. My personal opinion, here's what I think is going to happen. And I'm not talking about altogether. This is my predictions, and we're talking about the election, because Trump's going to barely win. It's not going to be what you think. It's going to be about 300, 290 something. He wins. I think the House, the House is a toss up right now. It could go either way. The Senate is a toss up either way. I don't think all a party is going to get 100%. It's almost impossible. Only twice did the Democrats, like in the last decades, that the Republicans had it 8 years ago when Trump first won, and they did nothing. The Democrats did years before that did nothing. The point is somebody's going to win the House and somebody's going to win the Senate. I think they're going to go. I think they're going to flip. I think we're going to take the Senate back, and they're going to take the House back, and then you're going to have Trump as president. And the problem is the Democrats get the House back, we're going to have constant impeachments for the next 4 years. And if you think I'm joking with you, it's going to happen. And yeah, Trump's going to do this and do that, whatever he's going to do, but they're going to constantly go after him every couple weeks that he's doing something wrong. We need to get him impeached. And this is the crazy thing. What if Trump wins and the Senate goes both to the Democrats? This is a curveball. Trump's what I'm going to tell you what they're going to pull. They're going to impeach him, and then they're going to pull the quota, and they're going to try to change the laws. If they pack the courts and add 13, they're going to try to change the laws and get Trump out. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a Trump fan, you're going to want Trump to win, and you want them to win one of the two. You want them all three, but I don't think you're going to win three, especially what's gone on with the House. And it's even looking like it's 50-50 right now. I think they fumbled the House, man. It was just too much mess there. And the Democrats kind of fumbled the Senate, and they haven't really done anything. It's just like, again, I think we need term limits, like we've been saying. These people have been in here for 60 years. Why do we have a president for only 4 to 8 years? But senators, people in the House, governors can keep constantly running. Well, I think governor, I think it's only 3 terms or something. But for the House and the Senate and the judges, their lifetimes. Why do we don't have term limits? We should. I just that's just my opinion. That's the thing I wanted to get to is we should have term limits on everything. We have it for a president. Why do we not have it for the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court? It just becomes you have people there for 50 years. And they either become a president down the line 20, 30 years later, and that's happened. Look at Joe Biden. Trump was never a politician. He was just somebody who got luckily thrown in. Obama was a politician. Bush was a politician. His dad was a politician. He was a governor at one time. All these people were at some kind of running for something, or they were involved with something with the House or with the Senate, except Trump. Now he was the president. But it seems to me we need to get some time limits and term limits on these people, because I think we would be better off. And Trump wants that anyway. He wants term limits anyway for the House and Senate. And I totally agree. That's one thing I do agree with Trump. We need term limits for them to be in there. You may not agree with that, but I do. And he does. I think we have too long, like Nancy Pelosi's 180 years old. Merchant, he's another guy, been there for 50 years. All these guys are just need to go. It's been too long. What's Turtleneck? I forget. Yeah, you got Turtleneck's been in there 70 years. He's just as bad as Biden the other day. Maybe he couldn't even understand. He was just mumbling. So I think what we should do with term limits is my main concern is, what do you think? Do we get rid of these limits, or do we keep them in there forever and have people in there for 60 years like Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and all these, and what was the other one? Feinstein. She was in there till she passed away. And Mitch McConnell, another one. How long do you think these guys should be in the office? What do you think we should do? We have term limits? We do with presidents. So why do we not have it for the seats of the Senate and the House?
Two terms. It's good enough for the president, should be good enough for everybody else. 2 terms. Get it 2 terms in the House, 2 terms in the Senate if you want it, and 2 terms as president. I think that's fair. The problem is, in order to do that, the people that have to vote on that to do it are the people that don't want to put term limits in because it's their job. They don't want to fire themselves. You see what I'm saying? So the only way you'd actually ever really get term limits on Congress is if you passed a constitutional amendment. And you can't even do a normal constitutional amendment because Congress has to be involved in that process. So they're going to fuck it up. So you got to do what's called an Article 5 convention. That's where a plurality of states, I think it's like 60% of states or something like that, get together and their state legislatures vote and say they want to have a constitutional convention. So then they get together, every state, and they decide what they want to put in the Constitution. So they propose amendments to the Constitution. And then once the amendments are proposed, they get voted on by the state legislatures of every state. And if a plurality of them voted in, then it becomes a constitutional amendment. That's the only way, in my view, you're ever going to get term limits. It's just impossible otherwise because Congress isn't going to vote for it. There's too much money in being in Congress. You know, it's not the money they get paid as their salary. It's all the bribes and the kickbacks and the lobbyist money they get. And the fact that they can do insider trading. That's a major factor too. They know what's coming. They know what they're going to be passing laws on. So they bet on the companies that are going to profit from that by buying stock in it. And then they sell at the right point when they know it's time to sell because they're the ones passing the fucking laws that affect all this stuff. You see what I'm saying? They're a bunch of dirty bastards. And the thing you got to understand, and everybody that doesn't understand what's going on needs to know, is the reason why there was such turmoil in the House for the Republicans is because all the Republicans aren't good Republicans. Okay, that's the issue. You've got a lot of deep state rhino sons of bitches who are dirty as hell, just as dirty as the Democrats are. And their whole purpose is to stop Trump and to stop the few people in Congress that are going along with Trump that actually want to reform stuff and fix stuff. Because they don't want their gravy train to stop. They don't want their money to stop. So the only people that can garner enough votes from the entire House to become Speaker are dirty bastards. The only one we had that had a chance that wasn't a dirty bastard was Jim Jordan. But the problem is Jim Jordan, he couldn't get enough votes. We tried to get Jim Jordan in there. That's the one we were pushing for. And there just weren't enough votes because there's too many dirty bastards in Congress. That's the problem. So it's not that the Republicans as a whole are disorganized or fucked. What's going on is the good people in the Republican Party, the MAGA people that are with Trump and that are actually trying to get rid of this deep state bullshit and work for the people, are trying to go against the deep state rhino Republicans that are just as bad as the Democrats are. And so you're going to have conflict. And when you're talking about the speaker, you got to have the votes to get in. And nobody that is not connected to all these assholes has enough votes because there's just simply not enough MAGA Republicans yet. There's too many old establishment Republicans because they've been running over and over and over again forever. They've got gigantic lobbyist war chest every election. It's almost impossible to get rid of them. You know, you just got to wait for them to die or something before you can replace them with somebody good, you know, and that really blows. But that's the problem. It's not that the Republicans fumbled the House. It's not that they're disorganized or chaos or any of that bullshit. It's the fact that there's a war going on inside the Republican Party where we're trying to get rid of these dirty bastards. And not most Republicans won't tell you that because they want to pretend like the Republican Party's the good guys and the Democrats are the bad guys. That's not the truth. They're both bad guys. There's a handful of MAGA Republicans that are actually good, that are for the people, that are trying to do the right thing and fix the government and get rid of all the corruption and all the illegal bullshit they're doing. But there's not enough of them. There's still way too many establishment Republicans, these deep state pieces of shit. Nikki Haley was their champion in the primary. They did everything they could, even when it was beyond a shadow of a doubt she had no chance in hell of winning. They still had her stay in just to keep Trump going and drain his money. so that he wouldn't be able to have as good of a run for president. You got Republicans now that are saying they're never Trumpers. They were not going to vote for Trump anyway. They'd rather vote for Biden or not vote. What the hell kind of Republican is that? They would rather vote for a Democrat who's destroyed this fucking country than vote for the Republican nominee. And that pisses me off, dude, because I held my fucking nose. I voted for McCain's piece of shit ass. I voted for Romney's piece of shit ass. I held my nose and voted for W. Bush, even though I knew they were corrupt. I knew they were dirty. But they were better than the alternative. So I held my nose and voted for them and kept plugging away and hoping we'd get somebody worth voting for. We finally get somebody worth voting for, and them sons of bitches won't hold their nose and vote for him because they don't like him. They do everything they can to try to destroy the man. And it's absolute horseshit. It ain't right. You know? And until we get rid of the criminal element in both parties, it's never going to get turned around. That's the problem. That's why you had a whole first term of Trump with Congress working against him, both parties working against him, the judges working against him. They tried to impeach him over and over again. All that bullshit that happened. All that shit happened because you got deep state people in both parties. Is my time up? Is that what's going on, Andy? That's the problem. So unless you know that struggle, unless you're familiar with that, you don't really have a good understanding of what's driving the shit that's going on in the House. They did something great in the House where they got the ability for one representative to be able to call a vote to get rid of the speaker. That's brilliant. That means you can get rid of these sons of bitches when they start doing deep state shit they shouldn't be doing. You know, Kevin McCarthy is not perfect. And believe me, I would rather Jim Jordan had the job. But he's better than what we had, you know, a little bit better at least. And this election, we just have to keep plugging away and get more good MAGA people in. And the more good people we get, the more the deep state pieces of shit we can get rid of, and we can finally get a speaker that'll actually do something. You know, the interesting thing is the Speaker of the House doesn't even have to be a member of Congress. Like, they could literally pick anybody they wanted to be Speaker of the House. Not a lot of people know that. It doesn't have to be a member of Congress. They could literally go out and pick Shaq if they wanted to and say, okay, Shaq's the new Speaker of the House. We're going to vote on it. And if he gets the votes, he's Speaker. It doesn't have to be somebody actually in Congress. And maybe that's something we're going to have to do. Not vote Shaq, but get somebody outside of Congress that can come in and actually take control of this shit and keep the deep state at bay. But the problem is, once again, you got to have the votes to put them in. And if you don't have the votes, it ain't going to matter. You know, that's the hard reality here, guys, that we're looking at, is it's dirty. Congress is dirty. Government is dirty. The majority of it. There's a handful of good people, but the majority, if it's time, blow the thing, because I'm not watching the clock. I don't know. You got a handful of good people. Rest of them suck. Both parties. So you got to get rid of the shitty people. You know what I mean?
If that was something else, Andy, you'd blow it.
So I agree with James. That's exactly right. Hershey, you're exactly right, man. Somewhere, man, we have lost I don't even know what to call it. The thoughts. We have lost the reason that we elect these people is to work for us. And some way, somehow, they have turned it around to where we almost work for them. I mean, I don't even know how to put it. Like, you know, they give us all these promises and they tell us all these things while they're running their campaign. And then we never, ever, ever see any of the shit. Nothing's ever done. It's almost like they work, you know, they are working for themselves. They're working to better themselves. They're working. You can see that every year when they run the budget and what they're going to get paid. They always get a raise. But the thing is, man, if people would actually take a few minutes of their time and pull up, you know, what they have voted on for themselves as in benefits and pay and stuff like that, they should not be making anywhere close to what they do. And then what gets me is you have Martha Stewart, okay? Did she not go to jail for pretty much the same thing when it comes to the inside trading? You know, that actually happened right in the hometown that James Hershey and I grew up in. That's where the guy that she had working for her, he actually went into the press where they were running the actual magazine and stole a copy out the door, told her, she takes it and, you know, plays the stock. That's inside trading. That's exactly what they're doing. That is illegal anywhere else. So why do we allow them to do that? Why do we allow any more than 2 terms? Term limits should be on, and that's why they haven't set term limits, because he's exactly right. These people are not going to vote themselves out of a job. The thing is, you know, they set an age on how old you have to be president. Okay, and I have no issue with that. So why can't they set something like that on the opposite end and say, if you're past this age, then you can't run for Senate, you can't run for Congress. There should be no more, man, in my opinion, no more than 2 years, 2 terms, I mean, and that's it. Like you said, the Senate, the Congress, and then run for president. No going back after it. No, you know, well, if they lose this or lose that, you know, there's always something that I've noticed in the back end of things, just like when they were, okay, so the budget. I was reading that one day. A couple of us at work were reading the budget and what they were going to do with it when it came to them, as in their raises. And then it started talking about, you know, their children's schooling being paid for, that they would not have to pay back for that. Free health insurance the rest of their lives. And it just didn't cover the actual congressman and his wife or husband. It actually covered their children as well, and their children's children. This is what they were trying to get past, and they pretty much took out the kids, like the grandchildren, and they literally, man, put in there that their children had life insurance or health insurance the rest of their lives paid for, as well as them. You know, what the hell, man? Most of these people that are congressmen and senators, all of them come from a lucrative job anyway. And you have really good ones in there like Jim Jordan. I love that guy because he has no problem standing up and just telling it how it is and giving them shit and telling them exactly what's going on. There's a few of them in there. I like Graham too. You know, he gets in there and tells it he's just the old, you know, guy. But the thing is, he's been in forever as well. So it's like, I can't say, you know, that I agree with one and not the other. You know, well, if it's this, but you're right. The Republican Party as well, man, are fighting amongst themselves, but so is the Democratic Party. You know, you can see that I kind of unfolding right now. I mean, when you pull the crap that they did to get Biden out, that obviously, you know, showed that underhanded at some point. I mean, it shows that there was ones in there that still didn't agree with getting rid of him. But I don't think Biden would have made it another year, probably, even if he'd have won this election coming up. I think he was so far gone. I'm not saying as in passing away, and God forbid that happen, but I don't think he was competent. I don't think he is now, but I don't think he would have been even competent enough for them to use him as the puppet. I think he would have been so bad that it would have been too obvious. But yeah, man, we started this government, and the Constitution very well states, man, that, you know, there's nowhere in there that states the same people. There's nowhere in there it states a lot of things that we have let pass through that we shouldn't. And we stand there and we don't do anything about it. And that's where my problem is. We don't do a damn thing about it. And then when you got somebody that is standing in there and doing that, automatically they're, you know, uh, Satan themselves. And it's like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why we don't, as Americans, stand up to all of these sons of bitches. I'm not just talking about Republican. I'm not talking about Democrat. I'm talking about all these ones that are deep state that are doing things such as trading. I think they should get rid of, lobbyists. I think they should put a shit ton of regulations on lobbyists. And they'll tell you, oh, we did that, we did this, we did that. And then, they don't watch them, man. It's still the same thing. That's why the media got so pissed off when Trump got into office, because they knew they were going to lose their little bitty benefits and stuff that they would get from there. And, there's a couple of them that got fired. And you look back at that, and some of the people they got rid of, some of them did deserve getting fired and taken off. But then there was a couple in there that just didn't make sense. And they were the ones that would usually call it as it is, just like Tucker Carlson. He get booted off because, being honest. And it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous that we have allowed this government to get where it is. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody does. If we're going to continue to allow this shit to happen, then we almost deserve it. That's how I feel.
And the last topic of the night is yours, Andy.
So even though it's political that I'm going to talk about, it's a little bit different. I want to talk about the hate and division that has been dealt out by us as Americans towards other Americans. I have never seen in my entire life people literally fighting over two people or two parties that exactly what we just talked about. Now, I understand Trump can be pretty nasty. I can understand that, his downfall is his mouth. But Trump also is a business guy. He wasn't a politician. He's never been into politics and stuff until he came down the steps, down the escalator. And that's when he said, and from that point on, they just went into attack mode. But the thing is, they turned people against each other. They've used everything out here to divide us as a country. And that's the thing. If we don't stop and listen to ourselves, Facebook has become a war zone anymore to have people just, any subject, man. It's like I've never seen the narcissistic, I'm right, you're wrong type of behavior that I have in probably the last 4 or 5 years. And we can say that in the paranormal community. We could say that in the music community. The ones that I kind of pay attention to outside of the political stuff, it's like I've never seen such hate that has no backup, if that makes sense. Just today, I was on a dear friend of mine in the political or in the paranormal scene. Known the man for probably 10 years plus. He is from he's from up north, He's done a lot of good things for the paranormal community, and he's a very scientific type of dude that looks at things like that, and he proves without a shadow of doubt a lot of times that there is something weird going in houses or in a location. And when he speaks and stuff and he comes on air, I listen to him quite a bit. But the thing is, today he came on and he posted a thing about the fact that people were wearing the bandage on their ear like Trump had. And he was talking about, he was calling people and anybody that liked Trump or would vote for Trump morons. He was calling people that had a problem that the shooter didn't miss, or that anybody that had a problem with the fact that somebody said they wished the shooter wouldn't have missed, they were morons as well. This guy had a following, man, on his Facebook, and then he went on a lot of podcasts too. He didn't ever have his own, but he was a co-host quite a few times, stuff like that. The man had an absolute crazy amount of followers, and in the last 3 or 4 days since he has been talking crap, I've watched his numbers, and he actually talks about it. They go down. He's like, oh, I lost another 50 today. Well, I lost another 150 today. I'm weeding out the morons and, this and that. What right does it give anybody to tell the other person, man, that they don't have the right to support or vote for who they want to? Now, we can sit here and throw facts out all day long and stuff like that and say, you're not thinking, you're thinking through your ass or something like that. That's different. But when you start going after people and you're telling them that they're morons because they support Trump, or they're morons, or we should go out here, like he just said yesterday, I think it was something to the fact that that every Trump sticker on the back of a car, that the police should pull them over and automatically take their license and their keys and tow their vehicle. And I'm like, dude, these people that get to that point. I have a fellow musician that I used to play in a band with. He has done nothing but for the last 2 years, well, actually longer than that, has done nothing but post every single bullshit story that they have brought up on Republicans. Talking about just nonsense stuff, like, I forget what one of them was, like that Trump called out for the slaughter of black people somewhere or something like that. And it was the Sun, you know what I'm talking about? And then the Onion, like he has quoted stuff out of that. These are all satire, make fun of, the political bullshit, stuff like that. And he really believes that these are like legit things, and it's just so much hate. And I'm like, so guess what I'm trying to go with here is that if you really have a lot of hatred for one of your friends because they choose to vote differently from you, then you have the problem. The media and Joe Biden, or now Harris, live rent-free in your fucking head. And it's just getting to the point. Yes, man, I will argue and debate till I'm blue in the face about what I believe in. But I don't ever get to the point that I start calling the other person an idiot or a moron or F you and, all this shit, man. I don't do that unless they start on me, and then there's no holds barred. But then I don't use politics when it gets to that point. I start telling them about the type of person that they are for even getting to that point of carrying that much hatred for somebody. And old boy said it numerous of times that, you know, all these people are fighting and arguing with each other over two people that don't even know your name, you know, and it's like, I'm not saying Trump doesn't care about us as Americans, because I truly think that he does. But the problem with me is that, you know, these people are willing, some people have died over this. You have people that are throwing, you know, I went to Leesburg, man, and ended up going to a Trump rally there. And on the way in, I got spit on. I had a guy throw, like, I don't know, it was a pizza, but I don't know what was all on it, but he missed me, but it hit the woman beside me. I mean, all the, man, it's fucking ridiculous, man. It would be different if we was going in there to vote for, like, you know, taking out, you know, no more than one kid per household and the other ones get shot or something, you know, ridiculous like that. But just because we were walking in to listen, you know, and I tried to say to these people, you know, a couple of people, they were interviewing people afterwards because they were throwing bottles of piss. I mean, they were throwing shit, dude. Some of it was bricks. We were lucky and went out a different route, you know, so we didn't get into the real heavy shit being thrown. But the thing was, not a thing done about them throwing the shit and stuff like that, because they wanted to say, well, they have a right to protest. And that's not protesting, man. Just like in Gettysburg on the square, every once a week, man, we have the pro-Palestine dumbasses, you know what I'm saying, that come out there. And on Bike Week last week, they decide they're going to stand on the corner, man, and flip off and spit at bikers that had American flags on the back of their motorcycles. It's like, one, you're a dumbass because of who they're doing it to. But number two, if you're that hurt by the American flag and somebody that shows patriotism, then get the fuck out, man. Go over there. And and these kids had no idea what they were yelling about, because as well as all three of us know on here, that if you are gay, and you were walking over there on their street, they would fucking gut you right there in the middle of the street, man, for being gay. But yet the person that was out there leading this the other day, she was on the board for the Pride Festival and is a lesbian herself. That tells you how little bit of knowledge that they have, but yet they're going to hate on a person with an American flag on the back of their bike. But not knowing that, well, you go for the place that you're cheering for and tell them that you lick cooter and see how quick that you get freaking gutted, thrown off a building, you know, whatever else. They'd run you over in the street, man. They wouldn't even give you a chance. But we have got to start trying to talk a little bit more civilized, is what I guess I'm saying. So that's about where I feel about things, and move on. Next.
The problem I have was this guy, was it his own Facebook page, when he was saying this? Okay, then I'm not trying to be mean. It's freedom of speech. You then just don't be on his page. I mean, I'm not trying to defend him, but if he was attacking people on their pages, that's a whole different story. But if it was his page, I'm sorry to say this, it's freedom of speech, because it's his page. If you don't like it, you could always leave. I'm not defending him, but it is true, because I see it all the time on both sides. They both do it. It isn't just Democrats, because I've seen Republicans making fun of Joe Biden being shitting himself all the time. I've seen that 10 million times. And you're an idiot. And you're right. It's on everything. I've seen people arguing about wrestling. It's great you said it on Twitter. They're actually fighting over wrestling that is pre-scripted, and people are fighting over the WWE and AEW. Xbox and PlayStation, dude, I'm telling you, these people are fighting over the system. and calling each other. There's people actually saying people to die over a game. And I'm just going by, but if it was the guy's page, it's his business what he's writing. If you don't like it, get off. Now, I'm not trying to defend him, but it is his page. If you don't like it and he has a bunch of followers, he loses them, then that's his business. It's just like Eminem. He knows they're gonna try to cancel him now because of CD doesn't care. He made sold 100 million copies. Like that one girl listened to it and she started crying on TikTok. Come on, fuck. Are you serious? Eminem has been making these kind of music for like 20 years, dude. If you get hurt over that, then you need time to go get a blanket because it's life. People don't give a fuck about this shit. You know what's crazy? It's only when it comes to election time. Most of these people could give a fuck, but the last year, it's whoever votes, you're either evil or you're a racist, and that's what I see. The Democrats, you're a racist bigot. The Republicans, you're a Satanist pedophile lover, and that's what I've seen by a lot of them, and I will show it to you to prove it. And that's what the sad thing is. I've seen it all the time. That's why I've even posted. I posted a couple months ago, and this is crazy before the election was starting. I don't care what you write other than politics and religion. Guess what? A Trumper came on and had an argument. I could say what I want and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's my page. I don't want it. If you don't like it, leave. Get the fuck off my page. Had to go and sit there and argue with me about this. This is her freedom and this and that. It's your freedom to say whatever you want. I could block you and get the fuck off my page. It really is his page. I'm sorry. I don't agree with what he's saying. I calling people idiots on any politics because I'm gonna tell you, these people don't care about you on either side, and none of them are really good. I'm sorry. It's all about a certain people. These people are just running puppets for the 1%. Let's just be fair. It just matters who you're running with. And like I said, people love a beautiful lie than the ugly truth. A lot of people are getting lied to and they know they're getting lied to and they don't care because they want people to take care of them. Because all through their life, majority of people are getting handed stuff. And now the government should just give us money. We shouldn't do anything in life. You know what? In some ways, we're making rich people richer. In some ways, I see their point because we're making people billionaires when we're barely making it. We got people living in the street and we're not helping them. Like you were saying that the Senate, they want to get lifetime insurance for their kids, but what happens to our military people? Half of them are living the fucking street. In the Vietnam War, they were forced to go to that fucking war, and they want to do it again right now because they made that law 18 to 26. That's what pisses me off. We got people who were in the Vietnam War living in the fucking street, can't get health insurance, but we got people who've never fought one taking advantage of it. Everybody's, we should have a human rights of free health care. Who said this? It says in the Constitution you have a right to pursue happiness, not guaranteed happiness. So you want free health care. You want people to work for free. The nurses and the doctors are going to work for free. And they're crooks too. Don't get me wrong. Charging $500 for an aspirin is bullshit. And everybody here knows it. Now they got to show you how much everything's going to be paid for. But then they'll add a service tax on that too. Just like fucking Edison added a $24 tax every month because they knew the economy's on, so they just made an excuse where they could do whatever. Edison's the electricity company. I'm not a monopoly, but there's no other companies here. And if there's one close, they can use that as not being a monopoly. And they're not even a government program. They're an entity of themselves. What I don't understand, that's a show we need to talk about, is all the utilities that people are getting away with saying they're not a monopoly when they really are. But we're not getting anywhere, guys. It's going to be another 4 years of bullshit. I'm telling you, this is not going to go well. It's going to be a shocking end to this election. And if it doesn't go a certain way, there's going to be a problem either way. And if Kamala Harris does win, they're just going to impeach her in 6 months. If they get the House, they're going to impeach her because of what happened with the border. They're already talking about it. They're not going to keep her in as president either. Like, people need to start realizing that it's just going to be, it's a big joke right now. And that's what I see. I don't care what you think of me. You could go suck a bag of dicks. I don't care. The thing is I see my own opinions, and I'm not stupid. I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody's bad. It's just that there's money to be made. They don't give a fuck about you. If I can make $10 million and tell you something that's not true, they're going to do it. They don't care about you. It's just like politics. Say that I want my person to win. I'll give him $12 million. But the person he's run against, behind closed doors, I'm going to give him $2 million. Because if he wins, just like politics always do, politicians, I buttered my bread on both sides, if you get what that means. So I gave the person he was run against not as much money, but I gave him money. So that's just how it works. And it's always going to work. These people have been in Congress for 200-300 years, and they were probably in the same Congress in Britain before we came, our ancestors come over here, and whatever other country they were a part of. It's the same shit. We went to war for the Tea Party, and we're paying foreign fucking taxes than we were paid in our fucking life. We went to war for this shit, and we're doing worse than we were in the 1700s. What's the difference? We're fucked. We weren't supposed to pay taxes. World War II, they were supposed to end. They fucking found a way to keep them in here. When are you guys going to realize we're not supposed to be paying them anything? They're working for us, and it's not happening. We're working for them. We turned into slaves. That's what happened. We've turned into fucking slaves, and there's no way of changing it because people are too lazy now. So that being said, there you go, James.
People are always going to run their mouths. That's just human nature. That's always going to happen. But there's bullshit, and then there's objective truth. Okay? It is an objective truth that the reason why the discourse politically has gotten as crazy as it has is because of the Democrats. That's 100% the truth. And I can document and prove that it's the truth. You had people like Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters got up and gave speeches saying, if you see anybody from the Trump administration or any Trump supporters in public, you get in their face. You kick them out of the restaurants. You shout at them. You don't let them eat their meals. You punch them in the face. She said that she would take Trump out tonight. You got Democrat after Democrat after Democrat leaders saying this bullshit. That they need to attack us. They need to do shit. Andy told a perfect little story. When he went to a Trump rally, what happened? The Trump people were lined up orderly, were going into the place. They weren't fucking bothering nobody. They were minding their business. These degenerate pieces of garbage are throwing piss at them and bricks and all kinds of shit. I see that shit all the time. The Democrats are the violent ones. They're the ones that are fucking crazy. That's objectively true. Okay? You say that Republicans call them evil and kid touchers. And you equate that with them calling us racist. The difference is objective truth. Republicans aren't racist. We freed the slaves. We gave black people the right to vote. We voted unanimously for the civil rights movement. None of these Trump supporters out here, the majority of them, were not racist people. But Democrats, if they're not evil, what the fuck is evil? Look at their actual policies. Governor Northam in Virginia had a policy where he was saying that what they wanted to do was the baby would be born, made comfortable, and then a decision would be made between the doctor and the mother what they were going to do with that baby. They wanted to kill the fucking baby after it was born. Late-term abortion, that kind of shit, that's fucking evil. I don't give a shit what anybody says. You're murdering an innocent baby. That's evil. Okay? When you're putting books in elementary schools that are picture books that show anal sex, oral sex, men fucking men, that is evil. That has no place in front of children. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, is on camera groping and sniffing children in dozens of different clips. That is objectively evil. He is sexually groping and sniffing children. The nominee now, Kamala Harris, when she was a district attorney in San Francisco area, she supported and backed child molesters over the victims. Refused to prosecute child molesters, even when the victims and their families were begging for her help. That is objectively evil. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. You could say it's both sides, but it's really not. It honestly isn't. The Democrats are the ones that are attacking people and punching them. They're the ones that burn the fucking country to the ground when they don't get their fucking way. They go out there and they riot, they loot stores, they hurt people, and they burn places down. That is objectively evil. Point blank. What is evil? Evil is anti-biblical. It is against God. So let's put what we stand for and what they stand for, and let's decide where God would stand. And it's not hard to decide because he told us in his word. Abortion. Do you think God is for murdering babies inside the womb? Obviously not. So if that is anti-God, if God would not do that, then that is objectively evil. Do you think God is for teaching children about anal sex and oral sex and all that kind of stuff and shaking your old hairy man balls in front of kids? Would God be for that, or would he be against that? Obviously, he's against that. Objectively evil. Would God be for raping children? Because remember, a lot of these Democrats are saying now that pedophilia belongs in LGBTQ bullshit. And to their credit, a lot of the LGBTQ people are saying, fuck you. That's bullshit. I don't want them kid touchers in our group. So, hey, hat tip to you. At least you're right about that. But there's a serious push. And I could show you article after article after article by Democrats trying to make pedophilia into a sexual, whatever they call it, that would fit under the LGBTQ category. They try to distinguish between pedophiles that don't actually rape children, that just fantasize about raping children, and the ones that actually do it. They say, well, it's okay for to be attracted to children. It's okay if it's consensual. I've heard that from a lot of Democrats too, that if a child wants to have a consensual relationship with an adult, that should be okay. Children can't consent. Children are fucking stupid. They don't know anything yet. They're not capable of understanding what the hell it is that they're getting themselves into. That is objectively evil. So the difference is you have bullshit, that platitudes that are said just to make everybody feel good, that, oh, it's both sides, they both doing it. And then you have the objective truth. And the reason where we're at in this country is because too many fucking people are worried about offending other people. So they don't speak truth anymore. And it's the truth. I'm here to fucking tell you, man. The shit that they're doing is evil. Anybody that voted for Biden, knowing that son of a bitch was groping children and sniffing children, should be fucking ashamed of themselves. Because they voted for an evil man. And you can't tell me that's not evil. And you can't tell me he didn't do it. He's on fucking camera doing it. His daughter's diary, in his daughter's diary, she talks about how he showers with her all the way up to the age of 13 years old, naked in the shower with his daughter. That is true. It is in his own daughter's fucking diary. That is objectively evil. So I'm so tired of hearing shit from Democrats saying Republicans are racist, Republicans are this, Republicans are that. We're not the ones starting this shit. We're not the ones throwing bottles of piss at people. We're not the ones burning the fucking city down. We're not the ones attacking people and punching them and hurting them. Like Andy said, they try that shit with real men, they get their ass beat. Like when they fuck with the bikers. I'm going to tell you right now, you come down here and do that shit to some fucking rednecks, we'll beat the shit out of you too. Because all these little soy boy bitches ain't nothing, man. They're little punks who live in their mother's basement eating fucking Hot Pockets and jerking off to fucking furry porn. They're fucking weirdos, man. And I'm sick and tired of having to say that evil is not evil because some sick, degenerate fuck wants to feel better about themselves. Fuck them. Evil is evil. You know, I don't know what my time is. I don't give a shit what my time is right now. Evil is fucking evil, and that's the bottom line. So if we're done, then go ahead and sum up and do your shout outs, guys.
I'll do stop laughing, Andy. All I'm gonna say is who's the guy that shot Trump? What was he? Yeah,
He
let's
was a
go
Democrat,
there.
dude.
No, he was a Republican.
No, that's
Go
bullshit.
look it up. Go look it up. Republican.
Let me
He
explain.
didn't like Trumpo.
You got to stop talking. I can't explain it if you yell over me. Listen, he donated to Democrat causes. He became a Republican during the primary to vote for Nikki Haley because he didn't like Trump. He's not a Republican. That's nonsense bullshit the Democrats say. It's not true.
Republican.
He was a registered Republican because he registered that way during the primary so he could vote for Nikki Haley.
Yeah, but he also hated Joe Biden, and that's true too. You go look it up. He hated both of them. He wanted to kill Joe Biden. You know that, right? That's also coming out. That was the other plan. He just couldn't get to him.
Where's the evidence of that?
I'm just telling you, that's why they were watching Joe Biden. He wanted to kill both of them. He hated both of them. That's true.
The evidence is he donated to Democrat fundraising stuff for Biden. So obviously he didn't hate Biden.
But if he was, and that's true, why would he vote for Nikki Haley? That makes no sense. So that contradicts what you're saying.
No, listen. Nikki Haley was going against Trump in the primary. He was trying to keep Trump from getting the nomination. So a lot of Democrats registered as Republicans to vote for Nikki Haley. That's objective truth because that was Nikki Haley's whole fucking plan. She gave speeches asking the Democrats to do it. And
I'm just saying,
hey, in this primary, you guys got to register as Republicans to vote for Nikki Haley against try to keep Trump from getting the nomination.
Well, I didn't vote for her. But okay, the guy who's vice president with Trump didn't vote for Trump. He voted for Biden. He hated Trump. So let's bring that up. Let's go there because it's true. He said it. He was never a Trumpster.
He hate Trump. He thought Trump was going to be a blowhard, and he's come out and admitted that and said that he was completely.
But he didn't vote for him either. So I mean, he had his own opinion on him. So I mean, and that's some of the reason why that some people are surprised that he picked him, and that's just true. He didn't like Trump.
What does that have to do with the shooter being a Republican?
No, but I'm just saying it was a registered Republican who tried to kill Trump. It was a registered Republican who had tried to attack me and end my career because he thought I was a Satanist from another planet. That was a Trump supporter.
Right. You are a Satanist.
but I'm not a Republican. It also said my daughter's name was King Biel. And also told me that.
But boy, you can't say that all Republicans are crazy.
No, I didn't say that. But don't act like they're not. They're all fan because I've had nothing but problems with some of them, and I've had problems with the other side too. Don't get me wrong. That Democrats, if you say one thing, they think you're a racist on everything. I get it. I live in California. Trust me. But what I'm trying to say is, come here to California and meet some of these Republicans, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
We're Republicans burning down cities.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I live in a different state.
We're Republicans burning down cities.
No.
We're Republicans hitting people with skateboards and bricks.
Actually, the white supremacist Republicans did. That's true. That happened. That they ended up getting in a brawl. That did happen. And they just were recently in Tennessee. So there is certain Republicans who are like that. That did happen. Remember when that is true. There is a bad part of the Republican side there. There's a lot of white supremacists
where white supremacist Republicans rioted and hit people with bricks or burnt down.
No, they got in a brawl with Antifa up in Oregon, and that did happen. That really did happen.
What was Antifa doing?
They were protesting each other. And Antifa was burning down the city all toss. I have no issue with Antifa either. But you got to realize a lot of people from the Democratic side get themselves away from them too because they're too extreme. So I mean, there's extreme sides on both sides of it. There's Republicans
constantly trying to fuck kids and put pornography in front of your children.
Not pornography, but how many Catholic priests have been in trouble for it? And how many Christian preachers
How do
have
you
been
how do you
busted for
think
it?
the Republicans?
There's been quite a few have. Yeah,
Was
it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat on that part. There's people who do it all the time. And most of the pedophilia is coming from Hollywood. Remember that. There's a lot of people in Hollywood who are pushing it here in California because there's a lot of pedophiles in California. That's who runs the Hollywood sector now of movies and the whole acting, music, sports. They have got themselves in it. And they've got themselves so much in this state, and people need to realize it. That's why people like Corey Feldman, everybody laughed at him, and look at the shit that's coming out now. It isn't funny anymore because they run everything. Here's how crazy this. We're almost done. A
who do they
guy, a guy was
who do they vote
caught,
for, boy?
but
The
I
Hollywood.
understand.
Who do they
But
vote for?
Hollywood there's a reason for that. I get it. But what I'm trying to explain is there was a producer who got caught by one of these guys that do all these videos and catch people. And the next day, he messed with the wrong person. He found out one of his own crew people were involved, trying to screw this guy over. This is how deep the Hollywood people are pushing this shit. They're the reasons why Kamala Harris is involved in this. They wanted him out. And I'm trying to say it isn't just Democrats, because I know a lot of cool Democrats that don't even fucking see it the same way you're saying it. They go for Trump. Look, like JC, he's a Democrat, or he was a registered Democrat, and he goes for Trump now. It's not that I'm saying this. Is what I'm saying is there is quite a few in California. If you seen how they are, you would understand what I'm saying. That they might say everything's all racist. And they are like that. And I'm not saying every Republican, but there is a lot of race issues. Just like when they found out the vice president's wife was Indian, some Republicans were pissed about that, and I seen it. So I'm just saying it happens on both sides. But you are right. Most of the time, the people who get really pissed off is that side of it, the Democratic Party. They burn stuff, they riot,
I
destroy their
haven't
own
seen
cities.
anybody. I haven't
I
seen
have.
anybody
I
that was
could send you
upset
pictures
about
of it.
JD Vance. I mean, if you look at the RNC, they were praising her and how beautiful she was, and what a
But they
great
didn't want
person.
him as a vice president, and that's the truth. They didn't know he was going to get picked. That wasn't their pick. They're already still mad about it.
They don't
He's
get to
not for their agenda.
pick.
The GOP has their own agenda. Just that's who they want in, and they got Trump in. So I mean, that's all that
So
matters to them.
this is important. You ready
Yeah.
for this? That illustrates perfectly the point I was making earlier. That you have two parts of the Republican Party. You have the MAGA part that's actually trying to fix things, and you have the establishment dickheads who are trying to destroy everything. They're siding with the Democrats. They're no better than they are. Okay? You're talking about the establishment people didn't like J.D. Vance as the pick. J.D. Vance is just as MAGA as Trump is almost. So, of course, the establishment's not going to like him. You know what I mean? You're not talking about the MAGA Republicans. That's who I'm talking about when I'm talking about Republicans. You're talking about these deep state, what I call rhinos, what everybody calls rhinos. That stands for Republican in name only. They're not actually Republicans. They're Democrats who call themselves Republicans, pretty much, because they want the same things the Democrats do. You know what I mean? But you got to understand, too, man, California is a fucking cesspool. California is not indicative of the rest of the country. It just isn't. I mean, dude, I've
New
never
York,
been anywhere.
New
The
York.
place I've ever been in this whole country, and I've traveled a lot, that's racist as hell, was Illinois.
Yeah.
A deep blue state with a bunch of fucking Democrats and the KKK who were killing black people. That's the only time I've seen it. I live in the South. I live in the heart of the Confederacy, Virginia. I don't see racism at all here. We hang out with each other. We have cookouts together. We go to hang out and do things together. There's no differences here, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The majority of the country isn't like that, like what you're seeing in California. The reason you see the racism and shit you see in California is because it's a fucking deep blue state, and Democrats are the racist people. They
Well, a
pretend.
lot of blacks and Mexicans don't get along here either. It isn't really whites and blacks. It's a lot of Hispanics and blacks, and it's been like that for the last 30, 40 years. There's racists here with whites, but majority but you got to realize when you go to jail in California or Texas, it's different than anywhere else. It's very segregated. You have to either be white or you have to be with your own race, and if you don't, you have to be in a certain gang, and that's just how it goes. And they do this in California, and they do it in Texas, and everywhere else. People trip out on it because they don't have the same rules. But when you go to jail here in California, you go to Texas, it's very segregated. I'm trying to see, what I'm trying to say. It's separated, and they make you pretty much you stay with your own race, and that's just how it goes out here. But California, there's more Hispanics. We're the minority here because there's more Hispanics than there is white people. But what majority of the time is it's Hispanics and blacks because there's a lot of issues with that out here, especially in Texas. It's the same thing because there's a lot of Hispanics there. So that's what we get a lot of racism here, and they are very racist to each other, both sides. And the blacks and Asians don't get along here either. I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying there's a lot, but there's such a different variety of different people here in this state. So we don't have the same issues you guys have because there's majority white people, and then there's African Americans there, and then there's few other races probably in Virginia. But here it's Hispanic, black, white, Asian, Indian, all kinds of people. So it's not the same kind of racism.
Different people here.
Yeah.
We just don't hate each other.
Here it's just a different world. It's people say they don't hate each other, but behind closed doors are all closet racists. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of closet racists.
There's a direct line from slavery to modern day.
Yeah.
A direct line of Democrats being the ones that are the anti-black party. It started with slavery. Who were the slaveholders? The Democrats were. The Republican Party was founded to free the slaves, to end slavery. That was the reason the Republican Party was started. Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president, is the one that freed the fucking slaves. Okay? Then you give black people the right to vote. 100% Republican support. Democrats fought it every step of the way. You can look all this stuff up. The KKK was the military arm of the Democratic Party. The Democrat president, Woodrow Wilson, was the first president to ever screen a movie in the White House. He screened a movie called The Birth of a Nation. It was a KKK propaganda film, and he had leadership from the KKK into the White House to watch it with him. A Democrat president. Okay? You look at the Civil Rights Bill, overwhelming support by Republicans. The people who were turning the fire hoses and the dogs on the black children who were trying to go to school were all Democrats. The governor of the state was a Democrat. The people that stood on the damn steps and wouldn't let them get in were all Democrats. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. Okay? All the way up, Jim Crow. The Jim Crow laws were written and passed by Democrats. Republicans were the ones that put an end to it. Republicans were the ones that put an end to segregation. Democrats today are the ones talking about resegregating things. The president right now, Joe Biden, was against desegregation of the school system and the bus system. His exact quote was he did not want his kids' schooling and busing to turn into a racial jungle. He gave the speech at the funeral of a grand cyclops of the KKK. So did Hillary Clinton. He passed in the 90s a crime bill that's responsible for locking up the majority of the black fathers that have caused the problems in the black community. It was his fucking bill. In that bill, they referred to black people as super predators. Hillary Clinton gave a speech saying that they were super predators and they needed to be brought to heel, as if they were dogs. Okay? There's a direct line all the way back from slavery to modern day of the Democrats doing this. The Democrats look at more Joe Biden stuff. Remember that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black? Calling every black Republican, such as Clarence Thomas, Dr. Ben Carson, a lot of really good ones, right? People that I respect the hell out of, calling them Uncle Toms because they don't vote the way the Democrats think they should vote. Look at sharecropping right after the Civil War. The black people were no longer slaves. So they thought, we'll go up north and we'll get jobs in the factories in the north and we'll have a good life. The only problem is the North didn't want them. The North said, fuck you, we don't want you guys here. We want you to be free, but we don't want you in our neighborhood. So they stayed on the fucking plantations. And they did a thing called sharecropping. That's where the owner of the plantation would give them a little shack to live in, and they'd go out and pick the fucking cotton just like they did before, and they do it for the right to live in that shack. It was really no different than slavery. And it kept on for generation after generation after the Civil War. That was done by fucking Democrats. Democrats are the ones today that constantly pull the race card. They're the ones today that constantly say that black people are dumb. Can't have voter ID to prove that you are who you are to vote. Why? Why? Because the Democrats said black people aren't going to be able to go to the DMV and get a fucking ID. As if they're not smart enough to figure out how to get an ID. They've said that black people aren't smart enough to figure out how to use computers. They've done that as well. There's a direct line, bro. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I understand you live in California, so you see things a little bit different. Everybody out there is crazy. But understand, you can look that shit up that I'm saying. It's 100% true. It's factual. It is objective truth. Look it up. All right,
well,
Andy,
you know what?
do your sum
Go
up and
ahead.
shout outs, bro.
You know, I want to give a shout out to a couple different people that I got out there right now. I want to give a shout out to my Uncle Petey. Little backstory real quick. My Uncle Petey is someone I grew up with, neck and neck with, hand in hand with. He does have Down syndrome, but he's fighting for his life. But he's doing much better. So I want to give him a shout out for sticking in there and being as tough as he has been.
Much love to Petey, man. Petey's freaking awesome.
That's right. And then I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Jordan, who was in a car accident. He's been in the hospital a couple weeks now. A good percentage of his body burnt. More of the damage right now is like the lungs and stuff from the heat and stuff like that because the car burnt. He is same thing, fighting for his life. He hasn't given up, man, and it seems to be that he is, going pretty much the right direction. But he's a paranormal bud. Him and his wife, great people, man, good people. So those are the shout outs I want to give, and to the actual doctors and staff in the medical field that actually give a shit. That's the ones, because trust me, with my uncle, first people to see him said, oh, he's terminal. And in the day, he's sitting up in the bed laughing, arguing with my sister, and they were playing music, and he's like dancing back and forth, sitting in the bed. That doesn't seem like a terminal person, but so shout out to the ones that are still doing it for the right reasons.
I want to give a shout out to my friend, and I'm not going to say his name. His dad just passed away a couple days ago, and I've known this guy since I was a little kid, 7 years old, 8 years old. And to the Morrison family, I want to give a shout out. I'm sorry if you're lost. Rest in peace. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We're trying to make it interesting. Me and James are going to argue, whatever, but we love each other in the end of the day. I like the little horn. It makes me laugh. But we're going to start bringing out some shirts. That's the next thing, because we have the store for Staring in the Abyss. We should have got those out to Andy. So for the bash, it's going to be starting tomorrow up in Gettysburg. Next time we'll do it. He's going to be there. Maybe we could try to pull interview there a couple and say some stuff. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the show. We're getting to the politics and everything. Like I said, we're going to talk about everything too, and we try to. And we want people to learn things. I would love to get a Democrat on here. So I don't know how that would work, but I think we all can get along to the point where we could get somebody who could, if you both can agree on it, 'cause to see their point of view and see what, and then people, oh, it's all just Republicans and independents on here. No, we could be a guest and come on. I just would like to see the other side of it. I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to cheer them on or saying, but it would be just interesting to always hear the other side of it. And it's somebody who's, doesn't want to sit here and fight, call everybody a racist, because that happens, we'll just kick you off. But it's always good to hear their side of it. And that being said, I hope you guys all have a good night. And heal fast, Petey. I never met you, but your family anyway, because I've known Andy for a long time, and I've known James for 11 years now. So I hope you guys have a good night, Misfits. I love you, motherfuckers.
The problem I see with getting a Democrat on is every time you try to debate a Democrat, all they do is scream over top of you, and you can't fucking talk. And there's no point in that. That's the problem with the news all the time. When you watch like Fox News or CNN, all they do is fucking yell over top of each other, and you can't understand what the fuck anybody's saying because they don't ever shut the fuck up and let the other person talk. You know what I mean? And that's my biggest fear of having a Democrat on, is they'll just start blah, 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 running their mouths saying stupid shit, and they won't ever shut the fuck up, and we won't have a productive conversation. You know what I mean? My shout out is, I got a couple actually. First of all, I want to say that one issue that I think a lot of people need to be pushing for, especially a lot of people in the inner cities, even the Democrats the grassroots Democrats should really start trying to push this issue with your elected officials, because they're totally against it. And that's school choice, the idea of charter schools. Okay, the basic program is you pay taxes that pays for the public schools. So you take the money that you would pay in taxes, and instead you get to choose where you send your kid to school. So you don't have to send them to a shitty public school that they're not having a chance. You can send them to a good school where they can actually get an education and have a chance at life. Okay, this one policy, which the Republicans are 100% in favor of and want to do, but they keep getting stopped by the Democrats. This one policy would change the lives of so many inner city children. The people that the Democrats pretend to care about. We're talking poor people here. We're talking people who live in shitty ghettos, whether they're black, they're Hispanic, whether they're white, they're Asian, whatever the hell they are. But they live in economically depressed areas that don't have good schools. But they would have an opportunity to go to a school where they'd have a chance, And I don't see how anybody that cares about these people, or at least pretends to care about these people, would ever say, no, that's not a good idea. You know what I mean? The whole point here is we're trying to teach all the children we can the fundamentals and give them a chance at life. If you have the choice to send your kid to a school where they got to walk through metal detectors to get into place, and the majority of people that graduate from the school can't even read when they graduate, if you have a choice between that school, and that's the only school available to a lot of kids now, or a school where you can graduate and have an opportunity to go to college and make something of yourself, I'm pretty sure most parents, if it didn't cost them any more money, which it wouldn't, because they already pay the taxes in the first place, I'm sure most parents would choose to give their kids a chance at life. So this should be a nonpartisan issue. This should be something that everybody can agree on. Okay, the Democrats don't want to do it because they want to keep you poor so that you keep voting for them so you can keep getting handouts. But we want to give you a chance at life. Okay? So if you are a Democrat and you're not going to vote Republican, get on your asses of the people that you're voting for. Okay? Get on their asses. Tell them we want fucking school choice. This is bullshit. Because you deserve it. Everybody deserves a chance. Okay, that's my first point. Now, my second shout out, I want to give a shout out to my Grandmaster, Grandmaster Leon Bell. For those who don't know, I've been in martial arts my entire life. I hold a master rank in Sen Shao Kung Fu. Okay. My grandmaster, the one that's above me, is a gentleman named Leon Bell. And he's in his 60s now. He's getting old. And he's got a birthday coming up. So I just want to say in advance, happy birthday. I love you, brother. And interesting side note for those of you who call me a racist all the time. He's a black man, and I love him to death. Yeah, I love his family. His family's freaking awesome. I just went not too long ago to his daughter's graduation. She graduated from college, and that's so cool, man. She's gonna get a damn good job, and she's a great kid. And it was a hell of a cool party. A little bit loud for my taste, you know. It was one of those like everybody there was black except for me, so I'm like the only white guy in the whole place, right? And they had two of his sons are DJs, so they had like all this really cool DJ equipment. And I must be getting old as hell because they started cranking that shit up and blasting that stuff, man, and it was so fucking loud I couldn't hear myself think. And I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So I stood outside for most of the party because it was just too damn loud for me. So me and Grandmaster Bell hung out outside and bullshitted. But I want to give a shout out to him and his whole family. He's getting to be an old fella. He's going to be, I don't remember his exact age. That's terrible. I think it's going to be like 64 or 65, something like that. He's up there. So shout out to him. Much love, brother. And with that being said, I guess we're done here. So as always, it's up to you guys to make up your own mind. Let us know down in the comments section what you think. And we'll catch you on the next one. Till we speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.